All right, let's kick it off. Joining me today, hello, Nyx, Carrot 3, or nyxnyxnyx, or just Nyx. How's it going?
Yeah, just call me Nyx.
Nyx sounds good to
doing
me.
all right.
Yeah. We have a funny situation going on where we can't advance to the bracket because we've got a bit of a tie to resolve in Group A. Because everybody went either 2-0 or 2-1. So that's not going to do.
Right.
So we'll be jumping in to see who wins. We got all these guys in Group A to play another best of 3 against each other. Previously they were just playing 2 matches, but we might as well just go all the way for a bigger show. Yeah. Alright. Nyx. Ready for game number 1, series number 1 of our tiebreaker.
You know it.
Alright. We're going into it in 3, 2, 1. Okay. And I mentioned earlier that Zoran was the most popular of the generals, so we'll be seeing a number of dittos throughout. Starting with Venator 4 and yohkagamine, also known as Bao. See a lot of Venator on ladder. Yoka is a bit of a newcomer though, so I haven't seen them as much.
It's quite impressive how far he's gone in just his first tournament.
Yeah, seems pretty strong. Might even be able to make it to bracket. But Venator placed top 4 in the last tournament, so it's no pushover for sure. And has a pretty nice opener. Zoran always loves seeing the cleric turn 1, and Yoka, not with the same luxury. Gonna have to settle for something like a Silver Guard Knight somewhere, or a Lancer in the back to get sniped.
Interesting choice of placement for Yoka. He could have gone the diagonal route and pressured a 5-mana play next turn.
Yeah, instead just giving up the mana and opting to protect the unit, keeping it so far back that it can't really contribute, and it's still just out of range of something like a E-Shroud. Venator responds with his own Sunforged Lancer, so anytime there's healing on either side, both generals get a +1. And none of the mana has been taken. It's just ripe for the taking. Of course, if we had a forward Lancer, then Yoka could have a pretty explosive turn, but I was going to have to just take the mana up front and center. Probably dropping a Sun Wisp to expand the options, and maybe a Silver Guard Knight. But there is a problem for yohkagamine, and it's the circle. Because as soon as any damage starts trading, the regen kicks in, which is going to happen.
Oh. Not the play I was expecting.
Lancer fading all the way back to the back line. So it's not going to be relevant in a fight. Just to keep it out of Lightbender range, I guess. Venator 4 finds the Sunriser. Has a possible clear on the Knight by hitting it and then using the Sun Cleric on it and then the Sunriser as well, but instead gonna put the Cleric here to block the mana. And the first point of damage has been scored. But damage works kind of weird in this matchup. Because you kind of want your stuff damaged. So it begins. So a Lucent Beam is a pretty amazing solution for a Sunforged Lancer. And the BBS was enough to make it trigger. Which is definitely going to make the matchup suddenly lopsided.
Well, it's a good thing for Yoka that he drew that dispel.
Yep. Good timing. There's some consideration on throwing it on the general or on the minion, because you throw it on the general, you get rid of the circle, get rid of the buffs. But the minion's the actual problem.
Oh yeah.
So Sunbloom's probably going that way. And silencing the Lancer is probably the first action, because pretty much anything else is going to heal and trigger it. Thinking very hard about this Sunbloom.
You want to step away. Yoka wants to step away from Ben here, right? Oh, okay.
Does a slight reposition so the Holy Immo can clean up the minion. Trading melee attacks, despite being down at attack point, that kind of puts you further behind, so I'm not really sure about that. But it does get the game to a later point, so Yoka's just trying to really push it along. Venator is happy to Tempest this board, because now a general hit can just clean up the knight. And Lancer number 2 is here. So showtime is continuing for Venator, and dire situation for Yoka. The gold vitriols are pretty nice in this matchup, but not right now. There's some consideration to fade away and then just try to use gold vitriols to snipe the Lancer, but there's going to be so much attack damage handed off.
No, he absolutely needs a body in the situation.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be a diagonal step back. 2 gold vitriols into Healing Mystic? Because that might... There's like a tiny chance that the Lancer in the back gets hit. Instead we see a Trinity Oath, which is just like, that's it. Turn over. Really wanted the refill. Does have the 1 vitriol to get rolling, but here comes a huge hit. Vader is really low in health though. It's gonna have to heal up again. And going to need more bodies to tank these vitriol hits, because otherwise this Lancer in the back is going down. So might respond with the Trinity Oath, which is going to proc the gold vitriol. Venator going awfully low on health. Gonna get the +1 with the circle.
Back up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So much for that.
Oh no! The Afterglow just causes a different unit to get damaged. There is a lot of attack getting shifted to Zron all this meanwhile though. So Venator is going for the 1-strike kill at this rate. Yoka's got healing, but healing only makes his opponent more powerful. Should be able to buy a turn just by dropping some kind of minion here and then diagonal step it back in. But then what? Well, triple vitriol? Oh, only double. Both hits going towards the general. And 2 more procs from the vitriol. So many of these are landing on Venator directly that this could just be a win. Oh, 2 more hit! What the fuck? So 5 out of 6 hit the general, which is kind of nuts. You can have infinite attack, but having 1 hit point is kind of a problem. And any of this healing could just end the game on the spot. Like a healing sage heals you for 1 and possibly blasts you for 3. So Venator's got the option of dropping a Sunriser to do some minion clearing. Does not have a good spot to drop it and deal artifact clearing. But gonna drop it in a spot where it can do some good. Vitriol, the 2 low value units got hit. Okay, down to 1 gold vitriol.
Oh, man, what a comeback from Yoko.
Yeah, Yoka now has access to Holy Ammo and an opponent with enough health to actually just be dead from it straight up. All it's required is this healing mystic going in. That was a pretty scary looking match because Venator definitely had an earlier advantage and this attack just didn't stop. But Yoka, the well-placed healing mystic, getting through it. A lot of thanks to all these golden vitriols. Yoka takes game 1 versus Venator. Okay. Venator does have the option of switching. Actually, both of them do. No lock-in rules this time. We're going into game number 2 of this series to see if Yoka can take it down 2-0 or if Venator is doing the comeback. Starting now. Okay. We're in fact just going to run it back. Flame Blood Warlock versus Sun Sister replaced Starope. Positions have been rearranged this time, so now Yoka gets first bite at dropping this Wisp immediately. Wisp is a pretty nice opener. It does an impression of that Lynx from the sequel. There is a situation potentially with these series. If all the players have the same record against each other cyclically, we might have to do just another round.
Right.
Well, hopefully we're not stuck in an infinite loop. Which is also part of the reason why I'm glad we can cast these right away. And a Flame Blood to just tack on some damage right away. Turns the healing on.
Oh, extremely questionable position by Venator.
Yeah, this Warlock is like optionally food for the Sun Wisp, but it's also not doing any work capturing the top mana tile, so I don't agree with that placement either. Diagonally down left would have been better, I feel, or just like further away from the Wisp. So it could tack on 3 damage to the general later. Because I think as is, Yoka is going to be just fine dropping either a cleric or ignoring the top tile for later and just dropping a knight.
Yoka can potentially secure all 3 mana tiles.
Yep. Has the 1-drop creature. Probably just gonna leave the bottom mana tile around and drop a provoke. So the Wisp sees the value, takes it. You could sometimes look at that as like a baiting play to be like, yeah, you want to crush minions and not take the mana.
Haha, I baited you to taking all 3 mana tiles.
Oops, what a great opener is unfolding on this side now. Fortunately, a Lightbender shows up to turn off the healing tile and the guard, but usually Lightbender is supposed to hit bigger buffs. But I think taking out the healing circle would still be alright. Tempest into equip gold vitriol into pass is kind of a bottom barrel move, kind of a dire situation. Really wanted to save this Lightbender for a juicier target. And now this puts the onus on Yoka to step off this healing circle and hit with all minions. So it feels like Venator is playing chess by gambiting all his units aggressively to put Yoka in a weird position, but is like behind on material. It might have even been better just to hold this in hand and pass with the extra mana up.
Yoka opting to not make his 5 mana play that turn. Here he is.
Just going for the artifact destruction. Into one more knight. Maybe a lancer in the back to be rude. A knight in the face directly below the general seems pretty good. Because if it's below Venator, then they both can't get hit by a Lightbender. Lancer a little further back there, though.
That wasn't really the order he wanted. I must say, as a contestant, I have noticed the nerves going into this tournament. I don't think players are playing how they normally would on ladder.
Yeah, you see some uncharacteristic plays a lot of the time, or people sometimes just choking or misclicking and stuff. Playing too quick. Yeah, I was talking to Kopiuyt after he got knocked out, and he was saying about, like, he was lamenting about all these mistakes, and there's no undo button for him, so he can't be like, whoops, I passed without stepping on the circle, or all that funny stuff.
Really ballsy play by Ven, by the way. He'd be dead if there was a holy ammo.
Yeah, going down to 9 hit points, clearing pretty much everything with the face hit into Tempest. Puts Lancer down low, but Lancer's going to start generating a ton of attack. And is locked down again. And as good as the Lightbender is in this matchup, this is too good of a placement for it to actually cover. Yeah, that's it. Yoka with the super strong opener into just having a iron death grip on the game the whole time. That does it for that series where Yoka has taken down Venator 2-0. Next up, we're going to see how Yoka does against the two-time champ, and then it's going to be Venator versus kopiuyt. But yeah, up next, we've got either this Riva Wanderer that we haven't actually seen any of, or it's this Artifact Pile Argeon. Going into yohkagamine versus kopiuyt. Game number 1 of potentially 3, minimum 2. Series 2 coming at you. Hey, it is Riva Wanderer. Where you see some rare minions like this common Death Blighter.
Death Blighter.
When was the last time you've seen this cast? I think it was a Gauntlet game for me. But 3 is a pretty chunky number.
I am curious which deck has finality. Goes better into late game.
Saurian finality?
No, I mean like which deck goes better the later the game gets.
Yeah, probably you gotta give that to the Wanderer Anthem, right? Just +1 on everything seems like it gets there. Heal is cheat. But is it cheat enough? The mana generation in the back. It's a pretty rare thing to see the mana spool up. Probably gonna just save this for a quicker Wanderer play. Oh, Lancer even further back. Which seems like a better spot than diagonally behind your general, because now it's extra defended against whatever. 2-drop into Shroud, for instance, can't reach it. Which would have been the play. Couple options for kopiuyt. We got the Panda. We got the Funny Hellion. There's some consideration for kopiuyt to preserve as much mana as possible to almost guarantee the Wanderer next turn. Probably gonna take the mana in front of his opponent's face though. With a excellent minion to just have in your opponent's face. The way this is worded, by the way, it doesn't mean 3 spaces in the same row in front of this. It means the space in front and the 2 diagonal ones. So yohkagamine would have to take a diagonal step to get attack power back. And is probably going to want to take the diagonal step up left to deny this top mana, because if kopiuyt can start his turn with both these mana, it's time to wander.
Oh, absolutely.
But options aren't that great, because it's got to be a healing mystic up there.
Yeah, it's got to be healing mystic into
a knight.
silver card.
Yeah. One of these Sunrisers probably should be replaced, but I guess they're both staying because actions are occurring. Don't get tricked into thinking this Hellion can die in 2 swipes here, because if the Lancer approaches it, its attack power falls off. But maybe the Knight can keep the Hellion in place long enough that the General can just cut it down in 1 hit. This Rift Beast is a much higher value target. Because this card draw is going to be pretty nice. But you actually can't use abilities while you're provoked. So there's some counterplay there. Sworn Avenger is a pretty good answer to that threat. Might want to, well, a Lightbender turns off the Rift Beasts draw a card, which would suck. Or actually, this is a Shroud, so this works pretty well with saying you could do like a Sworn Avenger into Shroud. Would have to consume the mana for that.
It appears that Kopiuyt is contemplating on whether he wants to save Shroud for something more pressing.
Okay.
No.
And then Rift Beast for the card draw, or BBS is consideration. That'll put the BBS on cooldown for 2 turns though, so Rift Beast is a slightly better play. Primus Hellion, pretty good combo. Hellion able to just take out the Lancer without getting hit. And opting for a 1/1 ranged creature over the Rift Beast, draw a card. Mostly because the Celebrant is here and can wall it out. Draining Wave might have to get pointed at this Rift Beast. Just to really kill it.
No, he's saving Draining Wave for Wanderer.
Yeah. Wanderer being fun-sized now actually does die to a single Draining Wave.
Thank you, Helgen.
You have to hold stuff like Onyx Bear Seal or like Lionar would need something weird like Sky Burial to take care of it. That wouldn't even work half the time. But yeah, now you can just like Immo it or Macantra it or whatever. It's not a big deal. So if it's not time for Draining Wave, it's probably time for... It's kind of an awkward hand, because with 5 mana, it could only be a Sunriser into 1 activation, which can kill a ranged unit, which might be enough. Okay, Hellion down. The attack sap was too nasty. But that does leave the Heartseeker alive, so the Sunriser's here to bug fix that. And it's also the Celebrant down. So pretty nice ring of minions. It's not going to be trivial to clear the Sunriser. Probably gonna have to be a Fizzling Mystic or something. Mystic seems pretty decent because Rift Beast can still draw. Kopiuyt's got some chumps in the back to work with. I don't know where this Shroud is going. But this Primus has a date with the Mystic.
Seems like a pretty optimal Kron turn. Summon Kron where Primus Fist currently is, so that a Sunraiser can't AoE it.
Yeah, it's either you gotta play around the Sunriser or you gotta kill the Sunriser. And Kron would be so good to get down, because if you can follow up a Kron with a Wanderer, you basically got things in the bag. Yep, Kron where the Primus was. It's a pretty nice spot of this token for kopiuyt, so the Sunriser can't even get to it.
kopiuyt now walking one space back. Loses a bit of HP value there.
Yo. Sunriser gets a turn to do some moves. So Solaris shows up to refill the hand. This recently got bumped to 3-3. It's actually a pretty nice refill. Been sneaking a copy of it into decks that used to be relying on Spelljammers. But replacing and finding healing, Yoka's going to be pretty happy with this. Because this is going to be a lot of general damage. Not much damage to Kron, though. Draining Wave cannot finish it. There's some consideration to Gold Vitriol. Because it could potentially blast this 2-2 in the back. Or the 2-1 up here. Even getting the Rift Beast is really good. So I feel like playing all these 2s out is what the play is. Especially now. But Draining Wave to confirm the Kron kill. Because Kron, one of the best cards in the game. And the Vitriol after hits the Kron unit in the back. Sunriser takes it the front line. And this is always the dread position of the Wanderer deck, where it's Wanderer time, but you don't have a board. And there's a lot of consideration for just playing out the Mystic, the Alchemist, tearing down the Sunriser, getting the BBS up. Getting Rift Beast to work. Well, Rift Beast is trading for a point of durability. Oh, never mind, going in. They're trading for the Sunriser. Yoka's got the second copy of Vitriol and Scintilla.
Yoka might be regretting refreshing his minion that draws.
Yeah. Suddenly really could use a Solaris or anything. This is an archetype that runs into the issue of, oops, my hand is empty. But the Scintilla could do a double blast with double Vitriol. That is so much damage. You basically might as well go for it. Oh. Huh. 2 damage to the Wanderer and 3 hits at the General. For 6. the spacing is playing around Thunderbomb pretty well. Kopiuyt needs to either score an immediate lethal or set up some blockers. Has a lot of means of pinging down these artifacts, but doesn't have any defense. So it just has to focus down these minions and not die immediately. Wanderer can kill the 1-3 and BTA can kill the 3-1. And then there's just all these artifacts you have to hope don't happen. Probably a blood tier behind the general and just 2 steps back. Just going through the lines to see if there's some way to also knock down these artifacts, but that's not happening. Fizzling Mystic is a slightly bigger minion. And Yoka's got 2 artifacts equipped and a 3rd in the pocket. Has to replace for a minion that doesn't work until next turn.
Interesting play by kopiuyt, opting for the Mystic instead of setting up a Heartseeker.
Right, yeah, the Heartseeker plus the BTA might have been a real deal, but probably just wanted to play minion that had more health than Zeron's attack.
Right, absolutely.
Spiral Technique's a good way to cut down that health bar. Kopiuyt can take out one of the artifacts. Might have been better off with the earlier Heartseeker, but can at least get one now. Along with another 3-2 ranged. Kopiuyt's just got the tiniest amount of ground, but is making it work. The Sun Sister Strobe doesn't even function because nothing can get healed. And True Strike can't even go hit a general directly. So it gets replaced and it's another gold vitriol. Oh, that is just it. Kopiuyt taking game number 1. Very strong stuff. We'll see if Yoka can take it back in the next game or if it's a 2-0. Going into this one in 3, 2, 1. We're back. Might be seeing another Celebrant opener. Might be seeing a Aura Zuzu. And sometimes you've seen people put Mana Springs into the center. Kopiuyt's not above that. Just gonna put it back here because it's safer, easy to collect later. Putting a mana in front is kind of telegraphing where your general's stepping next turn. Or if you're playing like a Brom Swarm deck, it might be good. Sunrise on the center. I've seen people put the knight just to secure it, but don't do that. Because this knight sucks without zeal. There's a nice
So potential
spawn for it.
Latigris for Cope.
Yeah.
So potential, yeah.
You can just see Latigris immediately. It'll get answered probably by the Sunbloom, but getting that out of the opponent's hand, it'll be worth it. Here it comes.
Oh yeah. You gotta take a risk with Wanderer.
Yeah. And this is a fine way to snowball immediately.
But luckily for Yoga, this means that Wanderer will be delayed.
Yeah.
Vitriol and
Yeah, it has potentially 5 mana. Vitriol, stand on the circle, doesn't even heal. So gotta put some damage on the general first.
Yoga opting to not kill. I believe he could have killed that minion if he moved that Silkguard Knight down too.
Yeah, if you're fighting against like a Vitruvian, these celebrants need to die, because if you can turn off their bond and make the Dream Shippers useless, that's huge gain. Whereas in this archetype, they're just kind of mediocre. At some point, they'll hit for 2, maybe.
Right.
But the late Tiger has been dispelled. So she's merely beefy. Kopiuyt could potentially clear this knight by dropping a Primus Fist. The Rest Crawler actually has the target in this matchup, so it's not something you want to just tempo out.
Ooh.
This pig is one improvement to the Deathblighter for sure. But I'm still feeling the Primus. It could also potentially be a Fizzling Mystic, but it's not much more board. Heartseeker in the back, and then Primus in the front. Actually, I'd put the Primus above Zeron, but this works too. This one's looking just like a Trinity Oath turn. Not much for Yoka at the moment. This Blistering Scorn will be nice to catch out all these Heartseekers. Although that stops working as soon as Wanderer hits.
Good old player 2 advantage.
What to do? Yeah, the flowchart of a turn usually goes, can you get the mana? Assuming you get past the do I have lethal. Six mana, time to wander. Really nice use of Jux to snag that mana tile that was getting saved for later.
You know, it's pretty sexy.
It's like the stuff of a third championship. Jeez. This Scorn doesn't even do it anymore. Holy Immo doesn't have a good target. It's gotta be like a Litiger, I guess, or the General. Vitriol for days, but they're gonna fall off the second they're on. So they have to strike true and like close out the board state. But that ain't happening. They have to do too much lifting. Maybe it'll hit. Herald into Circle is 4 hits, so that does get the back line. Heartseeker down. That was probably worth. Rest Crawler might not even need to do its thing. Because we might just be seeing the beatdown plus the Fizzling Mystic. Okay, so it does look like the Fizzling Mystic's gonna be taking a hit on the General. There go those two artifacts. So it looks like the best MO opportunity is killing 2 units and damaging Riva a bit. Seems alright. As your Herald can clean up Litigris.
Yoka might opt to snipe the Heartseeker with the Holy Evo, actually.
Ah. Yeah, because otherwise it's running away and it has to get hit by something like a Draining Wave, which is kind of too much.
Which it conveniently draws.
Yeah. Well, here's Immo in the face to clear the place. And opting to keep this Azure Herald around and just slicing down units. So down to 13 hit points. But now has a bump on attack and that's going to slide up. Kopiuyt swapping out the Owl because BBS is on cooldown. Gets a very cute puppy dragon. Assassination Protocol is pretty nice with Frenzy. Like maybe these 2 units are already dead. That would even be enough left over for Rejuve. Yep. Well, it's not quite enough for Rejuve, but this is pretty sick.
Ooh. Plays the Hearthseeker outside of Puppy Dragon buff range.
Yeah, it's gotta be Puppy Dragon coming down, but now both minions can't get hit by it. Probably prioritizes the ranged and lets it sit by the Heartseeker. Deciding where this general's going. Oh, okay. Puppy Dragon up front. Trinity out the heal up. He's got a pretty decent grip again.
Oh, that was a weird use of...
Just Trinity ulting on the spot.
Yeah, he's just until for...
Yeah, because there's kind of this problem with the board. I guess wanted to see what the draw options were.
Right.
And taking the step off the circle just to approach this Heartseeker. Or just to lock down the general. Threatening having more MOs. Probably Rust Crawler to swap at this point because it's only got a single target counter.
Well, he doesn't see what we see, right? And if the third Vitriol's on his hand.
Yeah. Because Yoko's holding on to the Vitriol, and that's a win con. So might actually just opt to keep the whole hand. Just play out the Rejuve and the Panda. And everything goes into this night. Another played out of range of the Puppy Dragon, probably just playing around Claim at this point, or any other AoEs. Shiro down. And gonna have to heal himself out of lethal range because this Rejuve hits hard. Gets a good Vitriol hit. Wants to be clearing these Heartseekers as much as possible. No hesitation on this Panda. Looks like Yoka can be put to 1. Oh, and then an EMP shows up.
Oh. Did Kopiuyt No, he didn't. Never mind.
It's always suspicious when someone makes an immediate action and then there's a long pause. They're like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe he's suddenly getting wary about all these nearby minions that now can't be cleaned easily. Kopiuyt probably gonna want to play everything, but could also play the some more Heartseeking. EMP seems like it's just too huge to not drop. But looks like Kopiuyt likes the text on his stuff, so I'd rather keep that. Some pretty decent healing from yohkagamine, but completely dries out his bar. Kopiuyt able to run away with that one. 2-0. And
Okay.
yohkagamine has actually got a 2 over Venator. So now with Venator and Kopiuyt, if Venator gets the 2-0, then we've got the real funny business happening. It's just the headlock again. But
Right.
we'll throw it on to the final series of the night. And hopefully of the round, because I'd love to get to this bracket at some point. Alright. Series number 3. Game number 1. Venator underscore Iv versus Kopiuyt. Coming at you. Tigris in the opening hand. That's not getting passed back. Maybe there's some opportunity to ramp into it really quickly. Turn on crypto. The better your BBS is, the better this move is. Turn one Lancer, super solid. Kopiuyt might have to answer with a bird to go after it. Because with Alchemy backing it up, this bird can do a lot of work. And it also has backup ranged unit.
This is a anti-momentum play by Kopiuyt. He's trying to force out removals so that Ven doesn't develop early.
Yeah. Really weird, kind of a rare opener. But Lucid Beam would be the perfect thing to throw. Just blast the bird. Bird is blasted. Ooh, see ya, Orizuzu. Maybe we'll be able to see some Crimson Guide in action. This thing has been getting into so many of my decks, it just seems great.
Nah, it's got to be a Kron Latigris turn, right?
It's gotta be Kron though, right? One of the two? Probably Kron, because Latigris can't immediately generate a unit, but Kron can. Okay. Latigris in the back.
Kopiuyt wisely attacking the Harv Sister. Oh, the
Mystic,
healing
yeah.
Mystic.
There's some consideration to not play the Trinity Oath because it'll overheal. So instead, it's Gold Vitriol. So the damage is immediately rolling. Venator can already one-shot Kron. And kopiuyt's got 3 options for Dispel. Got the Lightbender, the Shroud, and the EMP. Gonna have to run away in the meanwhile. Killing Edge. Tigris is suddenly a monster. Venator does not have any hard removal to deal with it. Well, doesn't matter how high your attack is. Tigris has a 4-turn clock. Couple 1-3s. Maybe they'll distract the Tigris. Not likely. Kron seems like a good way to buy a turn. Just drop it and run away. Primus Shieldmaster is actually quite good in a lot of situations, including now.
It seems like a Kron turn, because he wants a BBS this turn, since he has a BBS next turn.
Yeah. Kron might even generate another ranged unit.
So the dilemma for kopiuyt right now is he wants to clear the board, but he can't do so without walking closer to Ven.
Yeah. And running away looks like 2 steps left and the Rust Crawler goes down. Okay, well, we're seeing our clear. This does enable the Cub to be generated, but puts kopiuyt on the hook to immediately drop a Lightbender or provoke. And Primus is actually tougher than Kron and doesn't die in one hit. And the Rift Beast to refill the hand. And things are spread out pretty well, so Sunriser doesn't have a good hit. Pretty good Tempest, though. And can now attack to just chop down this Primus. Probably going to do that. I could even see him dropping a Sunset Paragon just to kill a Rift Beast. But surely there's a better use for this. Yeah, Lancer in the back. Opting to heal his opponent's Rift Beast for the attack bump. Seems like a good turn for Lightbender, but it's always kind of awkward when you're the Wanderer deck and you're just going turn after turn without able to drop the Wanderer because there's just hotter plays. But this bonus damage is way too much, so that gets shut down. And Rift Beast to block. And draw. Some prejudice towards the silenced unit in the back. I would have Miststrike and Seal on the Latigrus just to give it a +1, but keep it in place. As it turned out, that wasn't safe, because the pony can reach with some help from the cleric. But Latigrus has probably done enough work. It's been targeting all kinds of minions. And it might be a fine turn for the Wanderer, because the 2 power range is a big gain.
Kopiuyt appears to be contemplating on whether he wants to clear or if he just runs away with his general.
Yeah, best to fade away to the back. Rift Beast going in. I guess it's going to be taking out this cleric. Because Wanderer enables it. And Zeron really relies on having minions, because if she can't heal, it turns off all her attacks. She can at least heal herself, so this Lancer can do something. And has the Spelljammer for the recovery. These Heartseekers are going to be a big problem, though.
Spelljammer is a pretty double-edged sword against Wanderer, since they only have the 1 card in their hand. The one copy of a card in their deck. So I might end up drawing Kopiuyt something clutch.
I have a feeling that Kopiuyt's been targeting down minions so heavily, it probably just gets blasted. We see our first 3D skin card. And it might as well be that card, because Healing Mystic's basically the mascot. Well, it'd be a pretty enormous effort to clear out the Spelljammer, so maybe it doesn't get cleared. Venator's just slowly regenning back up to full. Okay, Spelljammer is getting it. Probably 2 range attacks and a Bloodtear Alchemist. And very wary about Sunriser and Holy Immolation. Some really nice spread out placements. I'd like to see an Alchemist and a Kron right next to this Ron. Really put on the pressure. And they attack for 4. Kopiuyt will have to swap out these healing sages. These only are effective when you've already got either healing likers or something big to revive. Okay, it's gonna be Kopiuyt that's healing up. Oh, this placement! Look at this unit spread. It's like he's fighting against banelings or something.
Huh.
One of the sages indeed does get swapped, but it's just more spell jamming. Which is kind of like a one-sided card draw. So it just gets thrown down. Kopiuyt's still got the ace in the pocket. Oh, the broken captive shows up? That's just busted.
Oh.
Well, they didn't name it the balanced captive. And this range beatdown is enough to close out the game. With Kron keeping Venator in jail. Looks like game number 1 is going the way of Kopiuyt, who had lost half his health bar pretty quickly and managed to scrape through anyway. The Sunset Paragon can at least take out some immediate threats. Can't touch the Kron though. It does have some decent healing and annoying wall options though, so it's still technically in it. I don't know what draws he's expecting to fix it though. I guess a lot of Eternity Oaths.
Then has one more turn to figure out some way to stay in this game.
Apparently not even.
Okay, never mind.
Game number 1 going to Kopiuyt. Which I think has saved us from the 3-way streak. Because Kopiuyt took a game on his other series. But we do have 2 more games left. Or 1 more game left. Let's have a look at game number 2. Venator versus Kopiuyt. Venator with his pair of Magmar and Lionar banners. Kopiuyt with his pile of Gauntlet draft banners. And all these trophies. Have you seen Braktorin in game? He's got so many trophies, it's actually overlapping cards on replays.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty funny. Kopiuyt has some options for nasty openers. Crypto BBS seems pretty nice, but could spice it up with a Mistdragon Seal. Probably should be used for a bigger play though, since there's just the 1 copy in the deck.
He might be tempted to play Shroud here, since he drew... Oh, never mind.
Yup. Could potentially silence this Shaman, but maybe silencing something, or one of these Dying Wish text minions would be good to silence as well. Venator finally replaces and finds one of his discounts. Probably wants to place Diltus. It's gonna get immediately shut down, but leave behind a huge thing. And Negamata just overdraws, so it's Dio. That may have been a misclick. Heartseeker doing a single ping damage instead of taking down this 5-3. Whoops. Uh-oh. A huge fuck up from kopiuyt, because there isn't a secret point of damage in the bank. Uh-oh. Shit, I guess Dio was just chopping in for 5. Hellion needs the mana. Well, at least a Shroud stops the Tombstone from spawning. But Venator will be fine with that Lava Axe of 5 damage to the face. Doesn't have a great turn, though. Venator looks like it's just Lurking Fear into a 1-cost goat. The other option is goat into Demonic Lure, just take care of this Hellion. Just don't lure it in front of the general. Okay, opting for the discount instead. A Lurking Fear. And this Azure Horn Shaman works really well with the Maeve BBS, because the unit you spawn also gets a buff out of it. It's pretty unreal.
Curious play by Ven there. Trading HP with kopiuyt as Maeve.
Yeah, that one I think kopiuyt's gonna be just fine with. Could potentially transform the husk into a panda. Crimson Guide's pretty squishy, so it's got to be placed out of range of the general. kopiuyt could drop this Healing Sage as possible insurance for this Blood Sun Hellion, so if it dies, it could be brought back. Has some leftovers, so here's Crimson Guide. So now this Crimson guy's just going to be running around the battlefield dropping these summoning circles. And anything that kopiuyt summons on him gets the +1 bump. So that's perfect to start dropping Heartseekers on. And this Mave list is way too greedy to be running Counterplay and Dispel and all that. Just has its own plan that it's rocketing forward with. And as soon as Venator runs out of gas, he's got the refill.
I get the feeling that Venator won't have an opening actually play right of the Undervault though.
Yeah, it gets a lot better once you've got a bunch of discounts, and there's only been 2 discounts so far. But it's probably just going to be an absolute last play. Like, as long as there's other plays to make, they're coming out instead. A Jux, just so this goat doesn't buff the husk when it dies. And the Wanderer on the summoning circle to get it back to its old stats from the last patch. Not even.
No, he opted for the safe play.
Yep. Having some defense here. It ended up being definitely correct, because now there's a Chakram. So some pretty necessary shielding. Chakram notably really good with this Reaper, because you can fly it exactly to where it can frenzy the most. Yeah, so Reaper this turn, probably Chakram next turn. This Husk can't really conserve its health, so it's probably just going to attack whatever. And the Whip to take out the ranged unit in the back.
There is. I was contemplating on whether Venator wanted to save lore for his 7-mana turn so he could lore in Chakram.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty huge turn. But didn't want to give even one turn to kopiuyt with that. But we're going to start seeing the advent of 3/3 range now being dropped in the back line.
Well, that's a brutal draw.
Onyx Bear Seal is, yeah, the EMP is pretty amazing in this situation too. The Husk would actually just die. But OBS is a good way to snipe the backline. And with 3/3s on the way, kopiuyt should be just fine. This Pando can get into position for a perfect Chakram later, though. Because they can't be attacked, so it's just going to make its way in. That'll be a bit, though, so Reaper number 2 is pretty necessary. And I love Nightmare Operate with Maeve, because randomly pulling Mechazor from your deck is just great. And it gets crunched into a Husk. Looks like a good EMP turn, but it's going to turn off Kopiuyt's ranged. This 5-3 dying and turning into any random unit might be better than it being silenced and being a 5-3. But if it's a 5-3 silence, this Death Blighter could kill it later. Oh, Echazor's been added into the deck. And in case you're wondering, the EMP dispels its buff it got from the Summoning Circle, but not from the Wanderer. Nope, Lurking Fear, right of the Undervault. 2 castable minions. And another right of the Undervault. Kopiuyt is brought to tears by the amount of card play and value going on. This is going to be a 5 mana discount once all these crash in. Stuff like Ironclad suddenly free. And having free cards is great when you've got another draw of max.
Yeah, the game for Ven is definitely, it's definitely about endurance. He just wants to whittle down Kopiuyt's hand.
Yeah, Ven's power is so much more explosive the moment it's been primed. Kopiuyt's got a very gradual burn and some pretty good answers to some particular stuff. We're pretty close to witnessing Death Blighter value. The Sworn Avenger we know is an incredible card. Here it is with 2 buffs. Kopiuyt playing these turns out really well, and these 2 summoning circles kind of give the edge that he needs. Ironclad does a pretty good impression of EMP. There he goes. So much for the Sword Avenger's cool buffs. It has enough mana for Allure and the Undervault. Just cast Undervault. Draws the 3rd Undervault? What the fuck? This Undervault is just perfect. Wow.
Huge tempo swing.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's not burning out until his whole deck is gone. But his whole deck is basically on the battlefield, which is turning into a huge problem for Kopiuyt, who's going to need some AoE in the form of this Death Blighter. Death Blighter actually doesn't have a good hit. Best hit I see is Nightmare Operant gets killed by the Archer, and then Riva moves somewhere to put the Death Blighter in that space. Riva in the corner? I kind of thought that she'd be moving up towards these summoning circles.
Kopia wants to dodge the husk.
Yeah, that husk can't get cleared. But that shaman's gonna make it even tougher. But at least it's not hitting any harder, so... Hiding in the corner is still a play. A spiral technique shows up. Venator's effectively at 7 hit points, but just doesn't know it yet. A quad kill from Deathblighter. That's one short of a rampage. Venator's got some incredible hand quality. One thing of note with these Desolators is their discount falls off when you use them again.
Ah.
So there's actually a Desolator that cost a mana, it got replaced. Kopiuyt super jailed. Yeah, you can see that this Desolator got crunched and is back in the hand at no discounts. Wow, that was so much card draw. This is what happens when Ancestral Recall gets cast like effectively 4 times, because that was like a double refill.
And he never drew the Megazord.
Yeah, he never drew the Megazord. It's in there somewhere. Okay, one more game, and then we're gonna call it. Venator 4 versus Kopiuyt. Final showdown. And today it's been Riva Fever. We haven't been seeing any of the Artifact Archeon. Shiro Pupper. Riva Wanderer, one of the few decks that wants this minion. Used to run it in Swarm Lilith. Sun Elemental is a really funny support for Swarm these days because it can pump up 2 minions, but it makes them die at the end of turn. Really weird. Venator had the option of doing a 2-drop and a 2-drop, but is opting to keep these Healing Sages in hand. So I'm feeling the play is dropping this pig right in front of the opponent's face. Because the Wild Tar kind of dares you to clear it. And it could potentially jump somewhere with this Mist Dragon Seal. Instead we're seeing a forward placed archer. Probably so it gets warped.
This is too high low for me.
Well,
apparently I'm a scrub. I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, this makes sense. No, this opener's sweet. Venator's gonna need to use this Lucent Beam immediately. Has the Healing Sage to get it going. Extremely necessary Lucent Beam. Well played on drawing it. Might have been dead on the spot if didn't have that spell. But as is, game on. Kopi does have access to any of this mana, but can't get them both, so this Wanderer ain't doing much yet.
Ben really valuing that Sage there, not blocking off the mana tile.
Yep. Sage could potentially bring back Healing Mystic at a shitty rate, but at least that's not using a card from your hand. I don't think Kopi's gonna mind that, and is just gonna cut down this Mystic. Has 2 mana, opts for the freaking pig, and some ranged. Bumping it all up, keeping the BTA for later. The Venator's got a pile of spells, among them the best one, so here's the Holy Immo. Carves the way open, takes out the Heartseeker. Bird and Healing Mystic seems pretty nice. Kopi's health bar is falling pretty quickly, but he's just gonna get stronger the later the game goes. Healing Sage downed. And Orezuzu way in the back. Shiro isn't hitting it. But at least nothing is, or Saran isn't. I could see Venator casting Sundrop Elixir on himself just to power up this Lucent Beam to snipe the bird. Bird's like kind of a medium threat though, it's weird. I don't know how to assess it because you generally never see these. Sunriser. In front of Shiro and the General. And a BBS to heal up Shiro Puppy Dragon. Just to enable the double proc with the Sundrop Elixir. So the Sunriser is getting choppy. And a lot of damage has been pushed. These Warlocks and like the random Vitriol might all be all it takes at this rate. Kopiuyt could drop the Wanderer, which is going to make the Mystic kill the Sunriser, so it just sounds like the play. And the bird can get the mana. Venator's got a pretty nice health bar to work with. Running low on cards in hand, but has a Charity Oath, so that's not an issue.
That bird's a huge problem.
That bird is so huge. I'm a lot more used to Wings of Paradise, but this thing is even more powerful. Because there's not a lot of great answers. Draining Wave only does 4. Venator is just going for the win. The way that he plans to deal with the bird is to deal with the General. The Thunder Bomb is pretty nice to clear with this Warlock though. So we're seeing that. And the bird can actually block off Zoran from approaching. It is too big for the Sunriser to clear.
Curious.
Units trading
Chooses
into big
to prime his
damage.
fist.
Yeah.
No, he primed his fist instead of giving it to Heartseeker.
Oh, yeah. Could have potentially had the Wanderer just sit around as a 3-power unit. Seems like a setup for lethal next turn. With maximum safety. I don't know where this bird's going.
Oh, that was a misplay for sure. Because now he has to play the bird in a 6-hit in a 3-3 grid next to the Primus Fist. If he bluffed the Heartseeker instead,
And kept the
they
Wanderer
wouldn't both
alive.
be.
Yeah. Bird in the back. Well, it makes it undispellable, so the Lightbender had to get thrown away. Powered up Lucent Beam is still not powerful enough. This bird is like an Inquisitor Kron over here. Pretty tense final game. But Venator now has to deal with a pretty nasty looking board. It does not have much healing to work with. Venator might have to do something like Sunriser into Healing Sage BBS. Or get a gold vitriol in there. It's definitely Sunriser into something. Clearing the stuff around it seems like it. 2-2. Lucent Beam does go face, so if both of these got chucked at Riva, or if a second one showed up, that's an out. Instead, it goes towards the bug. Ooh. If Kopiuyt gets one more point of damage, that's enough for lethal. Doesn't need the silence, and the Hellions doing opposite work. Places, finds a painters, 2 defensive an option. So now the consideration is not to take the general to 1 hit point, but to clear the junk in the way. Or to take the general to 1 hit point and also drop a painter. Yeah, that might be a better play. So we're not doing the painter. Okay, Sunriser gets pandified. And there's no getting away from this bird.
Yeah, Ben needs some more G on his side.
Yeah, equip this gold vitriol and Hope that these Heartseekers disappear while this 4-4 gets blasted.
No, he has lethal, right?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, he's going for it! Oh, Kopiuyt's dead!
He wants it. Yeah! Oh.
No way! Venator sneaks the 2-1. That's pretty funny. But as it actually turns out, that was the 1-2-1 that we had. So that's actually all we needed to not go infinite, because we got a 2-0, a 2-0, and a 2-1. So yohkagame's got 2 wins, Kopiuyt's got 3 wins, and Venator's got 2 wins. So between these, we actually have Kopiuyt as the clear advancer, but we have a funny situation. We could say we actually have more losses on the Venator side, so we actually just have the 2 advances of
Kopiuyt and Yo.
Yeah, just looking at this to see if this makes sense. Kopiuyt has advanced, and the extra game was taken off him from Venator. So since he had the extra game, that is the extra tiebreaker. So congratulations to Venator 4 and Kopiuyt for making it to the bracket. In about 24 hours time, I'll go ahead and post the next round and where we all landed on the bracket and all that good stuff. Thanks again, Nyx, for jumping on the cast. It was a lot of fun.
My pleasure.
All right, let's sign off from there. Adios, y'all. Have a good one. See you next time. Peace out.